Welcome to episode 23 of the Babes Talking Business podcast. Today, we are so excited to have our good friend, Frazer Brooks, who is a second generation network marketing professional who was one of the very first people to use Facebook to build his business to over 300,000 customers in less than 5 years. After attending his first event in 1987 in the womb of his mother, as he describes, he went on to see his parents earn 8 figures from this industry, and in 2010 he decided to follow their footsteps and begin his incredibly successful career. Today he is a generic coach and speaker in the industry and recently attracted the attention of Eric Worre, being one of the keynote speakers of the 2018 famous annual industry event GoPro and one of the very first generic trainers to speak on the GoPro stage. What Frazer has been able to achieve since 2017 from starting up in the coaching space is absolutely phenomenal. He now runs Europe's #1 community for network marketers, the Ninja Networker. He started the 6X Summit, the biggest generic event in Europe, and in the last 2 years his trainings have been viewed by over 250,000 network marketers from all over the world. He's spoken on stage in 20 different countries and has helped hundreds of thousands of networkers around the world to start, promote, and grow their businesses online. Today we chat about all things business, building on social media, in particular his secret to visibility online. He talks about his personal story of starting up in the industry and transitioning into the coaching space. We also touch on money mindset and his biggest lesson around earning and spending. In particular, he shares his rules around saving your income from this business and his personal lessons he's learned along the way. Make sure you find us on Instagram for a daily dose of business inspo over at Babes Talking Business, where we also do a shout out of the week every week. Leave us a review on iTunes and let us know what you think about this episode. And don't forget to leave your Instagram handle so we can tag you and shout you out as well. You can also check out our website at www.babestalkingbusiness.com, where we have loads more information, including upcoming events we have on this year all around the world. So without further ado, we are so excited to introduce to you this total rock star, Frazer Brooks. Welcome, Frazer, to our podcast. We're so excited to have you with us.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm super pumped. I'm super excited, and thanks so much for creating this. This is awesome.
I'm just so excited to just dive into your brain today because Lozzie and I have watched you on stage all around the world. How funny is that? But we've just decided to do this podcast online instead, in person. And you just bring so much energy and fun, enthusiasm to this profession, and what you do is just so amazing. So I'm really excited to chat with you and learn from you today.
Hey, and likewise, you guys have created an incredible tribe, and you're giving value not just from this podcast, but I know tons of people around the world who have got massive value from you girls and inspiration. Especially when I came over to Australia, met so many people who raved about you guys, and that was great to be there. So I'm excited. I'm always excited, but it's always good hanging out with people who want to better the lives of others and inspire and impact other lives as well.
Totally.
I'm excited for people to have a laugh, because not only are you just like next level with business, but you make business fun and you make it relatable. So I'm really excited for our listeners to be able to soak up your humor as well.
And no pressure then. I've got to pull my best gags out now. Right?
Yeah, I hope you have like a notepad of jokes next to you now, because the pressure is on.
Yeah, I used to write Christmas cracker jokes in my spare time. So no, not a chance.
Oh, funny. Well, let's get our audience to get to know you a little bit. Obviously, you used to be in the network marketing profession, and now you've transitioned into being one of the most well-known coaches in the world for our industry. And so tell us a little bit more about that. Tell us about your background with how you started, and I'm all ears.
That's awesome. Well, so my network marketing career started in 1987, but I wasn't born until 1988. So people kind of go like, how the heck does that work? Well, my mum was pregnant with me. My dad, he always used to say he was so broke he couldn't afford to pay attention. Like he was just really bad, in a bad situation. So we had to rent out the spare rooms in his home to be able to pay the bills. So there was a stranger in bedroom number 2, stranger in bedroom number 3, a stranger in bedroom number 4, a stranger in reception room number 1, a stranger in reception room number 2. And my dad wasn't he's not very educated. So one day he walked downstairs, and like the thought of reading a book or a newspaper was just like the most boring thing for him to do ever. So one day he walked downstairs, and on the kitchen table there was a newspaper, and it was open up, and he basically saw a picture of an Aston Martin, and it said, "I drive an Aston Martin, you can too. Like, call this number." And at the top it said MLM, MLM, MLM. He thought, honestly, it makes me think like he must have been so stupid. But he thought that MLM stood for Make Love Monthly. That's what he thought it stood for. And he was like, I'm all over that. Like, I'm in. I would love a bit of that, which sounds weird because I'm talking about my own dad, right? But like, and my mum. But he then thought maybe it's Make Love Mondays. That's even better. That's 4 times a month. Like, yes, victory. So he called the number and found out that it was multi-level marketing. So I was in the room when they went to their first ever presentation. My dad was elbowing me in the head like a crazy person, like, I'm doing this. And they went on to be successful. The first 2 companies failed. The third one didn't. And they ended up making millions and millions of dollars in a short period of time. And as a result of that, I traveled around the world listening to cassette tapes of people like Les Brown, Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, Earl Nightingale, all these like legends, when you had to like halfway through it go, turn over to side B for more from Les Brown. And like, I'd be like, oh, throw it out the window. So boring, as a kid. And then now I'm thinking like, I wish I had those cassette tapes because they were gold. But then like seeing what you needed to do to succeed, it really turned me off, because my dad is like massively extroverted. And although I'm introverted, like I might come across as extroverted, like when I'm on stage and stuff, I'm actually very, very introverted. The less number of people in the room, like the more petrified I get, because it's more intimate, and I just makes me feel sick thinking about it. But I've become a situational extrovert, I suppose you could call it. So I just decided to say like, no, it's not for me. So for 4 years, I was like, no. And the alternative for me was to go and become a construction manager. So I literally went and got a degree to become a construction manager. And yeah, I was about to go onto the building yard with basically with a bright yellow hard hat and a high vis vest. I don't look very good like that. It's just not a good look. You don't smile when you're wearing that outfit. So I decided to join network marketing, and I gave it a go and built it all on social media. And longs and shorts of it was I had a team of 300,000 customers in just under 5 years, all built starting social media. I was probably one of the first people to really embrace social media and create like a system in 2010, which sounds like ages ago, but in reality, it wasn't that long ago. And now kind of pivoted and transitioned into the coaching space. So in a nutshell, I could speak for hours about the story, but that in a nutshell is kind of what it's all about and where it's at to now. And the impact of the coaching side of things is just amazing. I love it. I'm just so blessed to be in the position that I'm in now.
I love that. And I think it's really cool because we kind of get to pick your brain about 2 things today. We can talk about obviously network marketing profession itself. That's somewhere that you grew up personally and professionally as well. And then how you transitioned into your own business, because essentially that's what you've got, a beautiful multi-international online business now where you're coaching so many other people to do amazing things and make impact. I'd love to know though, what kind of helped you make that jump to do network marketing right at the start, where you've watched your parents to do it for so long? I know you said you're comparing it to the alternatives. So was it just that looked like an easier way of creating what you wanted to create, or easier than working on the tools or getting outside? Or what was it about the network marketing profession that kind of drew you in eventually?
You know what? It wasn't called FOMO at the time, because I don't think like FOMO existed, but it was genuinely like the fear of missing out. Like I saw my parents traveling around the world, and I was thinking, they're traveling around the world, making more in 1 week than I'm going to make in a year. And I'm going to be slogging. I'm going to be working so hard in England, which is just like not the greatest place to be working outside at all. You guys are lucky, right? You know, you guys live in such a great part of the world. Like, I know we can all live there if we wanted to, but you guys have just got it next level. So yeah, that was part of it. But I learned to, you mentioned it before, like I ask myself every single day, if I don't do what I'm doing, what's the alternative? The question is always, what's the alternative? I asked it in the morning and in the night. If I don't wake up tomorrow and do what I'm doing now, what else do I do? What's the alternative? And I asked that question of myself right at the beginning. I just said, hey, like, what's the alternative? If I don't do it, the alternative is me working on a construction yard in the freezing cold weather, wearing a hard hat and a high vis vest. Like, I'm better than that. I can do more than that. But I had to go through a lot of sacrifice and give up a lot of the good stuff to get the great stuff. Give up a lot of the stuff that I like to get the stuff that I love doing now, which is, it was a big process, but it was the FOMO, the fear of missing out, and asking what the alternative was. So that's what made me kind of push me to do it.
I love that. And well, tell us a little bit about that. Like, obviously, your mum and dad were very successful, and so you kind of already had an insight into what it takes to build a successful network marketing business. So tell us about that journey of when you finally decided to say yes, and what it took for you. What did you have to compromise? What did you I'm guessing you started when you were about 18 or thereabouts. And yeah, tell us about, you saw your mum and dad do it. What did you do?
Yeah, so I was actually 22. So it was the most expensive 4 years of my entire life. Like, because if I look at it now, like I'd be 4 years ahead, and then I'm thinking, wow, that's a lot of lives impacted, I've wasted on. So for me, because I'd gone around the event, I attended just under 1,000 events before I actually joined the industry in network marketing. Just in the prams as a toddler, doing knee slides in front of the presentation while my dad's doing like the talk, whatever it was. And all I kept hearing and all I remembered was, it's a numbers game, it's a numbers game, it's a numbers game, it's a numbers game, it's a numbers game. So I thought, well, my dad's like, breaking his back, traveling up and down the country and around the world, just working the numbers. So I thought, if I can just stay at home and find people like the people he's talking to and just pitch them, then I'll be able to smash this. So in 4 weeks, I spoke to 1,200 people. Wow. And when I say speak to them, I mean, I sent them a message saying like, hey, I noticed that we are like-minded individuals and you should check out my opportunity. In fact, here's a link, enter YouTube link. I know you're going to have questions, but instead of answering your questions, why not join first and then ask the questions once you've joined? See you on the other side. Thumbs up emoji, right? And I would just copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste. And then I wouldn't change the name from Bob, and I'd send the message that said Bob to a woman called Mary, right? Or like whatever the name was. And then they'd be like, my name's not Bob, my name's Mary. And I'd be like, oh. And of the 1,200 people I messaged, I had a grand total of 0 join. And I went down, it was 4 weeks. I got thrown in Facebook jail after all this effort. And I just thought, it's not going to work for me, this. So instead of me just ignoring my dad and just like leaving home and then, trying to hide from my dad and, being one of those people who's like, oh yeah, it just doesn't work, that thing, like stay away from me, stay away. I decided that I went down to my dad's office and said, Dad, it's just not for me. I quit. And I never forget the words he told me, because it was so bizarre, but it changed everything for me. And he literally said, okay, Frazer, let's rob a bank. And I was like, sorry, say that again? Like, let's rob a bank. And at this time that was my ticket, like in terms of network marketing was my only hope to not have a normal life. And I thought, yeah, sod it, let's do it. I want to rob a bank. Like, I can get the balaclava, the shotgun. He said, well, what else do we need? I went, getaway car, like a team. I've got some mates who are in the same situation as me. We've got this. Like, we'll get the hacksaw and saw the end of the shotgun off, so it's got a bigger spray. So if we shoot and we're not very good shoot, like genuinely, I was mapping it out. Like, I was like, let's do this. I know the right bank. Like, this is going to be amazing. Like, I know one of the lads, Dave. He'd be so sick at this. He can lead it. Like, he'll get a cut of the share. I mean, my dad was like, whoa, you're getting way too carried away here. And I can literally, I'm back there now because it was such an important part in my life. Yeah. And he said, no. Network marketing and people are like banks. Everyone has their own vault, and what's inside their vault is different. It's your job to go out there and find what's in other people's vaults. So for example, Frazer, what do you want? I want to not work on the construction site. Why don't you want to work on the construction site? Because I want to travel the world. Why do I want to travel the world? Because I want to get a tan. Why do you want to get a tan? Because it makes you feel better. Why do you want to feel better? Because I want to create good memories. So in reality, you don't just want to leave your job. You want to create memories. So that's what's in your vault. So I said, okay, great. So I've got to get to know people. And he said, yeah. So I then, based on that, I created a system and I spoke to 12,000 people, of which just under 500 of them said yes, and that turned into the 300,000 customers. But if my dad didn't tell me to rob a bank, I'd be working on a construction site right now. I genuinely would. So that was the moment that it kind of changed for me. Yeah.
I've got goosebumps from that story.
Right.
Crazy. You have
What an incredible. Yeah. So pivotal to the decision-making process. It's kind of like a sliding doors. Hey, if your dad didn't tell you to rob a bank, where would we be now? So, incredible job. I mean, 300,000, that's just like, I don't know. I don't even know what that looks like in terms of like how many humans that is in one room. But what an incredible job, Fraze. And obviously, I mean, for you to build a business of that size, an organization like that, you would have needed insane duplication. Yeah. Hence why I believe you're one of the best coaches in the world, teaching people how to do this business. And so I'd love to get your insights on the word duplication, because obviously it's such an important skill to have in this industry, and you obviously have nailed it with the way that you've done this and the way that you teach people. What's your take on duplication, and how important do you think it is?
Yeah, so like I love telling stories. It's like one thing, if I could give one skill to every network marketer, it would literally be the skill of telling stories so clearly that you actually feel like you're in the room or wherever you are. It's so important. It's like, if you could master anything, that is the skill. It really is. So I remember I was about 14 years old and I was really, really big into athletics, like really big. So I was doing like 100 meters, 200 meters, 400 meters, 800 meters, all of that, triple jump, all that sort of stuff. And I remember my PE teacher, athletics teacher, he said something. He said, I don't remember the exact times involved, but he said, right, the average person at your age group runs the 100 meters in 15 seconds. And he said, do you want to be above average or below average? Everyone was saying, I want to be above average. So we'd run it, and the people who would beat the 15 seconds, he would then say, right, the top 10% of people who run the 100 meters in your age group run it under 14 seconds. So what was I doing? I was busting my back. I was breaking my back. I was hustling to try and beat the 14 seconds. And then I did it, right? So he was like, you're now in the top 10%. Now, for you to be in the top 1%, you have to run under 13 seconds. So what was I doing? I was trying to beat 13 seconds all the time. So based on that, I had like an epiphany. I had like an aha, I had like a bingo moment. When I was growing my business, I was thinking, I've got to make people know and appreciate how they can be above average. Because if they know that, they will strive for it. So what happened is I was recruiting loads of people and I wasn't giving them the time. I was just like, right, chuck enough rubbish against the wall. There's another word for rubbish, but chuck enough rubbish against the wall and see which sticks. And that didn't really work for me. So what I decided to do is I decided to create like a few steps that people would follow. So the first one would be write your list. If you're in network marketing, you've heard that before, right? You just join, write your list. So people wrote the list. Now, what I would say is I would say to people, hey, the average person writes their list in 48 hours. Are you above average or below average? They would say above average. Yeah, I'm above average. Okay, cool. Well, 48 hours from now, we're going to have our next call, right? By then, I guessed that you're going to be, you would have written your list. So 48 hours would pass. There'd be 3 types of people and 3 types of people only. The first type are the people who missed the call. They don't make this. They don't make that second call. I couldn't make it. Sorry, little Bobby's got sick, or like I burnt the chips and I have to make it up to my husband, or like the dog ate my computer and my phone, and like I don't know how I'm messaging you now. I'm just sending it by a pigeon mail. I don't know, all of that. The second type of people are the people who make the call. 48 hours, great, congratulations. You get a 6 out of 10 on that exam, or you get a 7 out of 10. Maybe you get a B on that exam. You've done what I've asked you to do. Now, the third type of people are the people who I'm going to work with, because those are the people who ring me up 2 hours after the first conversation and go, hey, like, I know you said it takes 48 hours and we've got a call scheduled, but I can't wait. Like, I've done it. I've got my list. I've got 178 people on there. Like, I'm super pumped. What's the next step? I'm like, yes, because action is not through your words. Action's through your actions. You know, talk is cheap. I don't care what someone's going to say they're going to do. I care what they actually do. What have you put on? Show me the results. And results come from activity. So that's how I got around duplication. And it was nuts because it took me some time to kind of create that principle after messing it up a few times. But when I got it down, I started a new team, and it was a team in a country called Kazakhstan. Shani, you've probably been there. Johnny, you've probably been there because you've been to like every single country. I think you've even invented a country to just travel to it, just to put some points on the board, right? And I used this principle, and we had 120,000 customers in 13 months using this duplication. It was mad. It was really, really mad. If you can imagine 10,000 customers a month, like from basically zero. For 13 months, it was just mental. But when everyone follows the same principle, when everyone follows like a unified system, crazy things happen. It really, really does. And it's just simple language to use. It's very, very easy. That makes you go from a boss, do this, do that, do this, do that. Have you done it yet? Have you done it yet? Have you done it yet? To like, no, step up. There's the assignment. I'm holding you accountable. You take action. That's it.
It's cool because it makes people kind of self-select, doesn't it? They get to decide what level they want to play at, and you're kind of giving them that space to be like, here it is, here's a space if you want to step into it. So I'd love to know from your personal experience, obviously working in the profession, and also now coaching professionals in the profession. From your experience, what have you found kind of makes those people who become the 5-10% who have all the success? Like, have you found certain characteristics or certain traits or habits that you feel really has helped them create the success that they have?
Yeah, for sure. So 2 things come to mind in particular, just from thinking off the top of my head, is the first one is the number of stops people have. And what I mean by that is how many times do you work, stop, and then restart, like work. So the successful people tend to have like 2 or 3 stops a year. So like, I know you got to take time to reflect, but like half a day is fine. Like a full day, oh no, that's a stop, right? It's like rolling the ball up the hill and then you stop, just see where it ends up. It's going to be right down the bottom again. So that's the first one. The second one really, and you guys do this so well, right, is the culture, right? The people who have got the strongest teams and the strongest incomes are the people and the teams who have got the biggest culture. And it's very, very simple, but it's important. In fact, I've got a saying that the strength of the team is determined by the strength of the storm they overcome, right? So if you've got a team who are on the boat, if you can imagine, we're gonna take the boat and we're gonna go to Success Island, where I'm sure you've been to before, like you've been to everywhere. So right, we're going on the boat, we're all on the boat, right? And there's a massive storm that's gonna hit. We're super close, but a storm's coming. Like, if you don't build the culture, most people will just bail off the boat. Like, no way we're never going to survive that. That's bad. Because storms come in every business. Nothing goes up. Everything that goes up must come down, right? It's impossible for it to keep growing and growing and growing and growing. It's just impossible. Everything goes up, has to reset and come back down again. So, yeah, building that culture creates that strength and unity of, I don't care, I've got her back. I've got his back. I'll do what I have to do to make sure they're happy. I'll do whatever he has to do in order to make this happen. It's culture. So the answer to your question is just keep going and keeping the momentum up, keep going. Personal momentum comes before group momentum. Group momentum comes before company momentum. When your company is in momentum or your group is in momentum, whatever you do just turns to gold. It's quite a fascinating thing, and it's very rare that it happens, but making sure you create that culture. And I believe it's the biggest income producing activity that's not known as an income producing activity is creating the culture, and videoing it and documenting it. Nowadays, honestly, being with authenticity and genuinity being so strong, I believe the best prospecting tool is sending a 7-minute video, which is you guys on a yacht, you guys at a barbecue, you guys at an event, just having a laugh, but then sharing testimonials of, I joined this movement, I joined this tribe, I joined this XYZ years ago. And it's changed my life. Like, that's what people want. They thrive off fun and adventure. You know, life's boring unless you do something different and you strive for adventure. So yeah, but a big fan of creating culture. Big fan of that.
Love it. You have an incredible tribe yourself with the Ninja Network. Like, your people love you. You're like their god, Frazer. It's amazing. You just bring the culture. I definitely resonate with what you've just said. I obviously, with you having started in this industry in 1987 in the womb, and having seen, I'm going to use, I love that line, in the womb, in the room. You know, having seen your parents and the way they built their business, and you going into building your business, and now being a coach, how has network marketing changed? Because Loz and I have been in the industry, like, we're babies. We've been in this industry for 3 years or less. And what's changed? I mean, now we're all about social media and building online. What was it like 10 years ago, 20 years ago? Like, I'd love to know.
Yeah. Well, I still can't believe you guys have only been in for 3 years. That's actual insanity. Like, we were in Vegas and you were on the GoPro stage. Like, what? Like, it's nuts. And that's, you know, hats off to you guys. That's incredible. Massive achievements that you both achieved. So I like to liken it to dating, right? So 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, if you wanted to get a date, you would call your mate up and you would go to the local bar that's usually got sticky floors. The Aussies and every time I say that, the Aussies and the English go, yeah, I know the bars with the sticky floors. Like, nowhere else knows the bars with the sticky floors. Like, so if you're listening to this and you are not from Australia or the UK, sticky floors, basically people spilling their drinks, and it's just creating a sticky floor. So anyway, but you guys wear your thongs and your flip flops and all that. So I don't know what that's like. We actually wear shoes, like leather, and, like, you know, so we actually don't feel it, but you guys must just tear off peels. Anyway, I'm not going to carry on with that bit. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So 15, 20 years ago, we would go out with our friends. We would go to the local pub. We'd have the shots, we'd have the beer, we'd have the whatever you drink 10, 15, 20 years ago, not Jaeger bombs, right? Then we would go, oh, she's stunning. She's incredible. So your friend would give you an elbow and go, go on, go speak to her. Go on, I dare you. Go speak to her. And you're like, okay, right, one shot, bang. Right, Dutch courage. Whoa, let's go. You look absolutely stunning. I would love to buy you a drink. She slaps you in the face because you're absolutely rat-arsed, right? Sorry, but you're smashed. But then you go to a friend. Oh, a friend's not bad either. So you go ask a friend the same thing, and she says yes. Then you go dancing. The lady in red comes on. You twirl her around. You do all the whole dancing stuff. Everything's great. At the end of the night, your friend's like, let's go. Then you're saying to her, hey, can I have your number? You get a napkin out. She gets her, like, eyeliner. She writes her number on. It's a bit, you can't really see it. It's a bit smudged. You call the number the next day, and it goes, the number of you have called has not been recognized. And you're like, oh, no. Next weekend, you go out back, you do the same process, right? And then you find someone who wants to go on a date. So you have date number 1, date number 2, date number 3, date number 4, date number 5. You go back to your place, you go back to their place, whatever it might be, the lights on, the lights off, whatever, right? You move in together, you get a dog, you get down on one knee, you get married, you have kid number 1, you have kid number 2, you have kid number 3, you maybe stop there, you then grow old with the family, you create a culture with your family, you then eventually your kids grow older, they have their kids of their own, blah, blah, blah. Nowadays, it's a little bit different because nowadays people aren't leaving their home. They're just getting their phone out of their pocket, going onto Tinder, and they're just swiping left and swiping right. So the point of what I'm saying is that network marketing used to be a talking business, and now it's a talking and typing business. If I was to match someone, or one of my friends was to match someone on Tinder or Match.com or even on Facebook, whatever it might be, to begin with, they're typing and texting. Like, hey, what are your interests? What are you into? Where are you based? Until there's a common ground, like, hey, we're pretty much the same. We should probably meet up. You're not going to get married to someone unless you meet up with them, right? So social media has changed all of the beginning. It's changed the whole beginning of the process with network marketing and dating. But the fundamentals of meeting up, attending the events, inviting, all of that sort of stuff, right? And getting started, all of that, the fundamental skills that Eric Worre talks about in his book, GoPro, all of those things can't be ignored. So the beginning part of the process has changed phenomenally, but the core principles are still the same as when, you know, the greats like Jeff Roberti and Bill Britt and all these legends in the industry of network marketing used all those years ago. So yeah, it's changed a lot. It has changed a lot, but you know, I used to have to create information packs. So my dad would come off the phone, he'd ring a bell and he'd say, "We've got another one." So it was someone who responded to his newspaper advertisement, and we would go into the dining room. There'd be a big table with 8 stacks of paper. You take one piece of paper from each stack. You'd have 8 pieces of paper. You put them in an envelope. My dad at the end of the day would take 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of these packs. He would send them off to these different people. Then a week later, he'd follow up and say, "Hey, has it arrived yet?" "Yeah, it did, but the dog got it." Oh, what a shame. Now, if someone says they're interested, you just send them a link. Like, it's so much faster. Now it's so much faster. It's insane how fast it is. But with that comes other issues and problems. You know, people trying to shortcut the process and not going on the dates and all that sort of, asking people to marry them, you know, even if they're already married to someone else, and without even bothering to take the time.
I love all the metaphors. Those metaphors, Frazer, they're awesome.
Yeah.
You really are, though. I like to think of us like the Brat Pack. I think because we've come in the time of technology, and a lot of us don't realize how far the profession has become and the tools we have to make it easier for us. That when I hear people complaining about how hard it is, I'm like, yeah, look, this isn't easy, but I think about how much easier we have it. Especially for, like you said, I find it's actually really common for a lot of network marketing professionals. We are introverts. I find that we make ourselves, like you said, situational extroverts. We make ourselves push our comfort zones. But I really loved building my business online for that exact reason, is I still get to be my introverted self. Like, I still get to hide behind a screen, but it does get to that point where you date, you're going back and forth, and you're like, okay, let's go catch up for a coffee. And I think that's what I love about our Babes in Business community, is we have created such a beautiful culture and community that it is so much fun getting offline and catching up with our girls. And travel's a big one of our values. I think we've got there's 2,500 of us now sharing all around the world. So it's really cool being able to catch up with different girls when we travel, and we went to Vegas. Obviously caught up with you in Vegas. We had Bali. Shan's catching up with the girls in Sacramento in a couple of months. So I can totally resonate how much easier we have meeting girls online, but we have so much more fun offline.
Yeah.
I love it. It's such an incredible model for you to just have adventure in your life. And again, as I said before, adventure's everything. Like, it creates memories, and memories is, I mean, usually if I get people in a room and there's like maybe 200 people in a room, I'll ask a question, like, literally. And guys, if you're listening to this, like, answer the question yourself. So you can either have $10 million and I'll deposit it into your bank account right now, but you're not allowed to leave your city area for 10 years. Or you're not going to get the $10 million and you can travel anywhere with whoever you want, however you want, whenever you want for 10 years. I'll pay for it, and I'll just make sure that the interest on all of your bills and all that is just taken care of, right? What do you choose? 99% of every single room, there's always one or two, but 99% of every single room chooses the lifestyle, chooses to travel. And in network marketing, too many people are focused on the money, when in fact it's the adventure, it's the lifestyle that we want to live, right? So there's that word, the word why. Like, ask yourself, what's your why? And the why is an acronym for what hurts you. So what hurts you? Working on the construction yard. Why? Why does that hurt you? Because I don't get to live the life I want. And why does that hurt you? Because I want to travel the world. Why do you want to travel the world? Because I want to create memories. Okay, cool. So you don't want to, it's not the fact of the construction yard, because you're not, creating the memories. So yeah. Why?
Yeah, I love that. And I love what you said before about like choosing your alternative, because I feel like that's exactly where I was. And that's what drove me to this business, because it was like I could keep doing what I was doing. I did my psych degree. I was working in a government job, and the same thing. I could keep doing that for 50 years of my life and doing 50 hours a week. And yeah, like that's okay. But or I could do this. And every time I have a bad day or I have an off day, because this isn't easy, this profession isn't easy, it's fun, but you definitely have to grow and stretch yourself. And every time I have one of those days, I love what you said, because that's how I catch myself and kind of put things in perspective. I'm like, what's my alternative? Like, I personally don't like social media, but I understand it's a tool. And I'm like, well, I can put some time aside to create a really nice post, or I can go back and spend 6 hours writing an affidavit. Which one's easier? It's like constantly putting my alternatives to kind of help me to have the perspective. That's it. So that's a tool that's really helped me along the way, is choosing my alternative to help me kind of put things in a perspective.
And it's powerful. I mean, one thing that I do, like, I've never used to be a big morning ritual kind of guy, but as the years kind of progressed, I realized how important it was. And honestly, like, I used to be a massive loser growing up, like huge. And one of the things I've got, like a 3H principle, is always remain humble, remain honest to yourself, and remain hungry for more. That's kind of my kind of like principle and philosophy in life. But every morning whilst I'm brushing my teeth, we all have that like bathroom mirror. I will literally get the L sign on my hand and I'll put it up against my forehead. I'm doing it now. For those of you who are listening to this, I'm actually doing it now. You can do it too if you want. Right? And I'll hold it up and I'll look at myself. Yeah, there we go. And I hold it up myself and I will be brushing my teeth. This is actually hilarious. I'll be brushing my teeth and I will actually say, remember before, that's actually funny. She's taking a photo. Right? Before, I'm going to hold it down. But when I see you again next time, remember, you're a loser. You're a loser. Make sure that when I see you next time, you've done something today that makes someone say, that lad, he's a legend. And then in the night time, when I'm brushing my teeth before I go to bed, I'll look at it and say, you know what? Yeah, today you're a legend. Tomorrow, though, when you wake up, you're a loser again. And that just kept pushing me to just continue to just keep going, right? Whose life can I impact today? Whose life can I impact today? Because one thing I learned is if your mission means more to you than your commission, then you never, ever, ever have to worry about the commission, ever. The goal of life is to help other people help other people. That's what everyone's focus should be. How you do that, whether it's through health and wealth or travel or lifestyle adventure, however you do that, that's up to you for finding that. But you've got to have that mission. You just have to. It's everything.
I love that. That's such a powerful line. I love that, when your mission means more than your commission. I love that phrase. I haven't heard you say that before. That was really cool.
I've been saving it for you girls.
Yes. Well, going back to social media, for those of you who don't know Frazer, make sure you jump on Facebook right now and go and find him. He's incredible. Frazer, what I love about what you do is you just give so much value to everyone on your Facebook, and everywhere. And I think that's such an incredible part of business these days, whether you're in coaching or network marketing or any type of business. I think that the value that you give your audience is really, to stick out from the crowd is so important. And so tell us about social media. What's it like, building online for anyone in business, not necessarily network marketing, but tell us a little bit about building on social media.
Yeah, so first of all, it's important that to understand that short-term vision equals short-term income, long-term vision equals long-term income. You've got to have a long plan, and the rule is the person who gives the most value is usually the person who wins, right? Because if I give one person a bingo moment, they don't forget that moment and they don't forget who they learnt it from. So they'll come back to that same person to try and learn and see another bingo moment. It's really bad, but it's kind of like gambling in a way. It's a bit of a weird analogy, but it's like you go into the casino and go into the roulette wheel. I mean, we were all recently in Las Vegas. So you go into the roulette wheel and you're having a big win and you're like, yes, $200. Woohoo, I won. I'm super, super pumped. Great, great, great. The next night, you probably go back to the same roulette wheel to try your luck again, right? You don't forget that time when you had that big win. Right? So giving the value is super important. So social media is all about, it's the story we create through the content that we produce. That's it. And you two are really good at that. I love following your journey just from seeing the posts that you make. And it doesn't have to be like, you don't have to post 17 times a day. You don't have to post what you're eating for food and, you know, that your dog's just got a lead and, you know, you've bought pedigree chum for its dinner or whatever. You don't need to be doing all that. You just need to show the highlight of your day. And I don't like social media so much, but I love the attention that it can bring. And I don't mean like, oh yeah, look at me, look at me. I love it, the fact that I can make a post whilst I'm actually sat on the toilet. I know it's disgusting, but it's multitasking, right? Whilst I'm sat on the toilet, and by the time I'm finished, 100 people have liked it and loved it and shared it. And I'm like, great, impact on the toilet, brilliant. Like, it's like, but it's duplicatable, right? And you don't have to have a six-pack. I know you girls are in like incredible shape, but I don't. Like, I don't have abs on my shins like these girls do. I don't like, you know, but I can still give value. Everyone's got some sort of value to share, like every single person. And value, I mean, I'm in the network marketing space, right? Everything that's being told about network marketing has been said. There's only old people making old mistakes and new people making old mistakes. There are no new mistakes to make in network marketing. So when it comes to a teaching side of things, you don't teach anything new. You just share your opinion of it, right? You just share your opinion of it, and people fall in love with that. So if you're building on social media, regardless what industry you're in, think of the way how you can offer value consistently and over a long period of time, because consistency beats intensity. If you just go hard for a week on giving value, people will forget you in a few months. You've got to do one or two really good things every single week. Just keep doing it, doing it, doing it. If you've got no inspiration, go on Google Images and just type something in your niche, followed by the word quotes, and just find a quote and then just post it like you've written it. And then just in the comments, put like, oh, I learned this from blah, 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 right? Just go do it, because eventually consistency will lead to visibility. Visibility will lead to likability. Likability will lead to credibility, and credibility will lead to profitability. Right? It's all about turning strangers into friends, friends into family. People become raving fans. They share your message. And then you've got people whilst you're asleep saying, hey, go check out his stuff. Go check out her stuff. Listen to that podcast. It's flipping awesome. Read that book, blah, 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 blah. And eventually the fulfillment you get from seeing someone message you saying, if it wasn't for you, I don't know where I would be. That keeps you going for another year. And you get it again, another year, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again. And then eventually it happens 100, 200 times a day. And it's just like, what did I do just to deserve all this? And yeah, but if you give, you'll get. Simple.
I think it's so cool, because I know a big part of my journey too is, I think a lot of people go through it in business. Obviously, if you're your own boss, and obviously a lot of us in network marketing, that's what we are. We are our own bosses. Mm-hmm. A part of that is actually accepting and receiving income. Like, we do business to make profitability, like you said. And I love how you said, essentially, it's all about adding value. And I think it took me a good 12 months, because I had this charge around a money mindset of understanding that at the end of the day, money is just an exchange of value. The more value you give out, the more lives you impact, that comes back to you. So I'd love to know, like, because a lot of people have this charge on sales, or have this charge on even in business, in money mindset. Have you had your own journey with money along, whether it's in network marketing or it's in your own business now, and being okay to receiving because of all the value you are putting out?
I was terrible with money, like so bad that I actually created something called the Top Income Trap, which is an acronym which stands for TIT, which in the UK, if you're a TIT, it means you're a bit of an idiot. So the thing is with network marketing, and this, I'm so happy you asked this question, because I don't get to address it enough, because not many people answer that question. And that's why I'm pumped to be doing this podcast, because I knew you guys would be bringing in the best questions. And if you're listening, guys, I hope you're getting value from this, and I hope it's worth your time. I'm super excited to be having your attention for the the past few minutes we've been here. So basically what happened to me is I was taught, get a vision board. Right? And we're all taught to do that, and it's really good for visualization. But the problem in network marketing is your business can literally grow at such a fast rate that you never expect it will fall down. You just think it's just going to grow forever. And my vision was, I was 23 at the time. I drove a Mini Cooper, and I loved it. It was my favorite car, but the engine kind of shattered on the motorway, and I needed to get a new car. It was quite a bad experience, but I needed to get a new car. So on my vision board was a black, sporty 3 Series BMW. I can't forget it. It was really, really sporty. And I was at the car garage, and I saw the exact one. Like, I was like, wow, Like, I've got to buy it. But at the time, I was crushing it, but I couldn't really afford it. Like, I couldn't really afford it, so I'd have to stretch myself. Anyway, I bought the car. I was only 23 at the time. I had no savings or anything like that. But I bought this car, like, based on the lease. Anyway, my business was going up, and that which goes up must come down. So the company I was with got featured on like prime time island television for being a pyramid scheme, which was complete and utter nonsense. And my team went from like 5,000 or 6,000 people to 5 people. 5 people. The company didn't, no one really knows the story, but the company didn't pay us for 18 months. I didn't earn a single penny for 18 months. Like, no one on the team got, imagine being with a company and not being paid for 18 months. You probably wouldn't be with it, but I believed in it. And as a result, it was tough, but it makes me who I am now. My best friend asked me to be his best man. And I remember it, and it was like one of the proudest moments. When you're asked to be a best man, it's like, it's a really proud moment. And then once the proud moment settles in, you're like, oh no, I've got to arrange this. Like, oh, stress. It's like, why? Like, I don't really want to do it now. So I remember him saying that. He said, I want to have the stag do in Amsterdam. And I was like, okay, nice. And we're going to get married in Mallorca. I'm like, awesome, love it there. So I then started looking at my bank balance and thinking, I've got a decision to make here. I can only afford to go on the stag do or to the wedding, but I have to do both. I have to sell the car. So I had to sell the car. And even my mates don't know this. I had to sell the car and put on a brave face to my team. They're like, oh, I'm selling the car because I don't need it anymore. Like, I'm not going to any meetings anymore. I'm doing it all online. And deep down, I was thinking, oh, this is painful. But what I learned from that experience was that you should never change your lifestyle for at least 5 years in network marketing, right? Yes, if you're on the streets, right, and you're homeless, you're going to have to change it a little bit. But you shouldn't need to. Network marketing for the first 5 years, just stash it. Keep the money, stash it, invest it in whatever you do, whether it's investing in yourself to begin with, then using that to buy the stocks and shares, the properties, whatever it might be. But your lifestyle shouldn't need to change. Just because you get a $10,000 a month check, it doesn't mean you have to live a $10,000 a month lifestyle, right? Because in life, we might be lucky to have 1, 2, maybe 3 moments of momentum. If you're lucky to have 1, 2, or 3, then you're really, really lucky. You've done significant work to make that happen. And usually momentum, you can create a large amount of wealth, but it depends what you do with that wealth that's going to determine the rest of your life. Don't mess it up. I did, and I learned from it, and I'll never make that mistake ever again, and it's kept me humble. Someone told me that hungry dogs run faster. If I could show you.
I really love that we've touched on this, though, because it's funny, and maybe they'll listen to this, but there's a couple of pretty successful income earners in our business I was nice enough to give them a lift in my car. And they made this sneaky remark about, why have I not upgraded my car yet? And I was like, do you not have financial literacy? Like, a car is a dead asset. Like, it's a dead asset. It's depreciating. Like, I've got the money. My dream, one of my cars that I want, it's a Jeep. People know this. People are probably wondering, why have I not bought it yet? I'm like, it's still on my vision board. Although I've got the money there, I'm smart about it. Like, I'm not going to do that until I've got all my investments set up, or I've bought my family home. Like, at the moment, my Mazda's fine. I work from home. I go to the beach every single morning. I don't need to go anywhere. So why would I spend my awesome paycheck on a car that's going to sit in my garage and I might drive around twice a week just so somebody like, oh my God, nice car. So it's funny how there's a lot of people I've seen who've created an income really quick and they've splashed it so it looks really fancy. But I'd love to know if they're setting themselves up so they do have a safety net. So they do have equity in their house and in their actual assets. Mm-hmm. So I love that we've had this conversation, because I think it's really important that network marketing is a really awesome vehicle to create a cash flow. Mm-hmm. But it's what I love even more about it is surrounding yourself with people who have financial literacy and know what to do with it, know how to set yourself up. And I think Shannon and I, that's why I'm really passionate about having this podcast, is to educate people about different streams of income. But we're really lucky that we are really young. We're only in our 20s. Shannon just turned 30 last year. But we've been able to set ourselves up like really early on. And there's a lot of girls in our team, because we have a young team who are creating income really quickly. So I love that we're having this conversation, because that's personally something that I'm really, really passionate about. And I know Shani is too.
Yeah, and I love that. I've always followed I kind of got into the trap of, I'm buying things to impress other people. That's what I was doing. And then I got into the habit of, no, buy things that impress me. And that tends not to be the material things. It was the adventure. It was the experiences. Like, I don't want to, if the culture is based on money, it will not last. If the culture is based again on lifestyle, experience, adventure, memories, it will last a very, very, very long time, because people don't want to lose a good thing with all these memories they're creating. Hey, wasn't that year amazing? We did this. Not, hey, wasn't that year amazing? I remember when I went to the Rolex store and bought that watch. It was great. Like, no. So, yeah.
On my mindset journey too with money, which is what we do invest a lot in our team to help them have a healthy relationship with money as well, is that your net worth is a reflection of your self-worth. So when we can have at least 3 months worth of saving behind you, you're more confident and you have a different posture and you're not being reactive, and you just come across with a different vibe. Because I know when I was struggling, or when I was at uni, or when I was working full time, I didn't have that money behind me. It definitely, it influences the situations you put yourself in. It influences on what you say yes to. So I really love that. I think that in itself is a confidence that you can't get anywhere else if you do have that finances behind you. You have that safety net. And I get, at the end of the day, that's what they call financial freedom, isn't it? If you can survive a certain amount of time, or having that money behind you where you're not reactive if you lost a job, that's what it's all about at the end of the day.
Exactly. It's awesome.
So, Frazer, before we let you go, thank you so much for your time, by the way. I know we've gone a little bit over, so I really appreciate your time. You've written a book. It's called I Dare You. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so I got challenged, to be fair, by people in the industry, one of which being the Godfather, Eric Worre. He said, dude, you got to write a book, it changes everything. And I was like, okay. And I'd written 20% of a book, and it just kept getting dragged on. And my goal again is I believe unity creates clarity, and clarity creates just a thriving environment. So I went through Eric Worre's book and I looked at it and went, he sold nearly 3 million copies, over 3 million copies of that book. And everyone in network marketing, if you tell them, hey, what are the 7 skills in network marketing? Pretty much everyone who's been around it for a few years can tell you the 7 skills. So I was like, all right, well, that's the process, it's the system, but it's so basic. It's but then I quizzed him and I said, hey, it's so basic. He said, exactly, that's what people need, just the basic skills. So I said, okay, well, if I write my book, the GoPro for social media, will you be cool with that? And he was like, that's what we need. That's what the industry needs. So I created the book. It's kind of like my 5-stage process with a lot of my story in it. I call it mind flow, because I believe sets like concrete, flows like a river, and your mind flow should adapt to the surrounding and not be bang, slab of concrete. So I wrote it. It's really, really short read. You can read it in 2 hours, but everyone who's read it literally launched 7 days ago, and the feedback from the people who have got it and received it so far has been absolutely amazing. And Eric got his copy literally this morning. So he was like, I've read a chapter, really good. Thanks for the shout out. I'm like, yes, come on, promote it to your list. I don't think he will, but yeah, it's all good. So yeah, I'm super proud of it. I only got a chance to reflect over the weekend and looking at the book, thinking, shit, I actually wrote a book. How did I do that? But every master was once a disaster. You are going to be your worst before you become your best. Well, every hit was a shit before. Sometimes you'll go from shit to hit to shit to hit again. It just happens. I've just basically barreled up all those swear words for the entire time, and I just let loose on 5. I'm super grateful for it, and yeah, I appreciate you bringing it up.
You giving us some of your time and sharing your light and your laughter with us, and just thank you for being an awesome friend and mentor in the profession as well. We really appreciate you and everything you do for the wider community too.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot.
My cheeks are sore from laughing and smiling.
I love it.
Thank you so much, Frazer. We love you. You're amazing, and we can't wait to catch up with you again on the Gold Coast really soon.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
feeling my heart.